Hey there, guys and gals. Melodic Symphony here, and this is gonna probably be a little bit shorter of an episode, so to speak. Not feeling very well, still kind of sick. I got a pretty nasty cold this last week. It's kind of why I haven't been posting a lot this week. I do want to be a little more consistent, but I'm definitely not gonna force it if I'm still feeling super sick. But, this last week was the first week that I got to move on to the next portion of the bariatric recovery, which is referred to as the soft food phase. Now, in the first two phases, the liquid food phase and what I like to sort of refer to as the pureed food phase, I guess is what they like to call it, they measure uh, what you should eat by volume, not by size. So, what they'll do, for example, is they'll tell you have exactly the weight of 1 ounce or 2 ounce of cottage cheese. But in this phase, that changes to size. So, the best way to do that is to take the little half cup um, measuring tool you may have, or like a cup measuring tool you have, and then go below half, because there are 8 ounces in a cup. So I'm at about the area where I'm allowed 1 to 3 ounces per meal at this point before my stomach gets like very full and kind of doesn't feel good. So what I do is I take the little half cup and then I fill it up about 3/4 of the way, the little half cup measurement we have. And I also know visibly what it looks like. We have a pair of white bowls where I live. And these white bowls are like the perfect size for it. Like a half, the 3/4 of the half cup, the 3 ounces of physical weight, not physical weight, physical size, fits perfectly in these little bowls we have. So it may be worthwhile to go out and look for bowls of that kind of perfect size if that's something you're interested in. But we have some of those, and that has made this process very easy because I usually don't really have to, since I don't have to weigh anymore. I go by size. It makes things much quicker. It also opens you up to more options. Like my dietitian, for example, said deli meats, deli cheeses are okay. You're open to more soup options. What else? Uh, you're open to different things like all of the different kind of ground meats, such as chicken, pork, turkey, beef. You're allowed basically any kind of seafood. I haven't seen one yet that they have denied. Anything like tuna, shrimp, all that. You are allowed some carbs at this point. They like to have you avoid stringy fruits or veggies, for example. They want you to avoid tons of starches, because that's not the protein you need in this phase. And since your stomach is still not big enough to really have like, because at the year mark is when you should be at approximately 6 ounces to, I believe, 8 ounces, which is of course twice the amount that I can have now, just because like the stomach isn't stretched back out enough yet. And the stomach, of course, will stretch. That's not going to be something that's avoidable. It stretches back out, but the big goal is to not stretch it too much, because you want to keep it at that smaller portion, that 6 to 8 ounces that it's going to be when it's at that year point. So in this phase, you're allowed all these new things, and a lot of people I have heard that go into this phase really struggle with it, and I mean like really struggle. I personally didn't struggle with it, but I also really haven't struggled through any portion of this. Of course, I did kind of get sick this week, which really sucked, but um, that didn't really affect my eating too much in terms of like going into the third phase. More so, being sick this week stopped me from eating a lot because I wasn't feeling well. That aside, I've done things like we went out and bought some deli meats. So I was making these little turkey slice and Havarti cheese slice roll ups. I would like roll them into a little, like kind of this long. I don't really know exactly how long it is, but it ended up being like approximately 1.8 net weight ounces. I don't know exactly what it was size-wise, because they're deli sizes. It was a little bit harder to kind of see that. But with those, I went kind of by weight, and when it was 1.8 ounces, it was still filling. So I was predicting it was probably somewhere around the 3-ounce size anyways. Sorry about that. But, so we had those. And then we also had things like, what else was another one we had? You take a bunch of ground chicken, and then you mix it with some cheese. You not deep fry, air fry it. They make like little chicken nuggets. We're gonna make those tonight, so that's gonna be kind of fun. But we have had quite a few different things that are new to this phase. I'm trying to remember them because realistically, we even like bought these mushroom noodles as well, so those are gonna be pretty fun to make. The shiriyaki mushroom noodles from Miracle. I believe they're called Miracle Noodle. I'm not entirely sure, but I won't stick on it for too long. As you can tell, my throat's still not feeling too great. 1 second. I apologize. So yeah, I'll probably start cutting this short pretty soon. But the other things that are super important in this phase is to remember to not kind of push it too much. Things my dietitian were telling me aren't going to be good for you are still you want to avoid spicy things. And the reason why like breads and stuff, for example, are still highly not recommended during this phase is because bread expands in your stomach, and you can eat 3 ounces in terms of size of bread, and then it'll expand in your stomach, and that's not very good. 1 second, let me get a drink of water because throat's not having a fun time. There we go. But another thing is like carbonation, for example. It's not even really the caffeine anymore, from what I've been told. It's more so the carbonation of like soft drinks and like sparkling waters and stuff like that, because you can drink enough of it, and then as it continues to bubble in your stomach, it'll expand and just make it very uncomfortable in your gut. So that's one of the reasons why like carbonation is still not really preferred right now. Because in this phase, your stomach is still kind of like restarting and starting to produce more of that acid again. So super fatty things and super difficult things to digest are still highly not recommended, because your stomach acid isn't fully reset yet to get to that point. That's one of the big concerns, is that you get to this phase and then you really pack your gut and you end up going to the hospital because you have intense stomach pains, and they just, all it is just your stomach is blocked up. So you have to just endure the pain until it all passes, and that's not fun. I have noticed when I eat like the full 3 ounces, sometimes what'll happen is I get like not even necessarily hiccups. It's more like little, I don't even know really how to explain them. It's like a little pulse of like the stomach pushing on the insides of it. It's kind of hard to explain. Again, I'm not really sure how to explain it, but I get like little hiccups, I guess I would call them, because they don't really make me do the whole audible like hiccup sound. It makes me do the motion of it, sort of, in a way. And it's not really painful. It's just like slightly annoying if it goes on for a long time. Other than that, this phase has been going really well. I noticed that in the last phase I would eat like literally every 2 hours on the dot, but in this phase it's like even 3 or 4 hours that I'll eat. I don't even need to eat as frequently anymore, because the food just keeps me full longer. And that's kind of one of the really nice things about it. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot else to chime in on this stage. I've been starting to replace some of my water with Crystal Light because I'm kind of getting tired of water, admittedly. So we've been doing things like lemonade Crystal Light, some of the berry Crystal Light, just different flavors of it to kind of like keep it fresh still. And of course, Gatorade still is okay. I believe they still tell you not to have caffeine in this phase, as much as possible. But I think some nutritionists, so maybe yours would say this too, are okay with it. Again, just check with your nutritionist, see what they recommend. You don't want to go against what they're telling you. Because like whatever my nutritionist says, for example, may be completely different than what they say, and that could be based off of your previous history of various other factors, something that I could never predict myself. Um, for example, I don't even have a past history of any level of diabetes or even pre-diabetic. But someone who may be pre-diabetic or diabetic, for example, maybe they'd want them to have a modified lower sugar diet or a modified no caffeine diet or something to help benefit their current health conditions or previous health conditions, and also work with the bariatric diet. So again, talk to your nutritionist, and also make sure you always listen to your surgeon as well. I'm going to be so this is the end of the 4th week. So first week was liquid, second week was a puree, third week was a puree, fourth week was the start of the soft food, and now I'm at the end of the 4th week going into the 5th week, and honestly it's doing well. I've been able to tolerate a lot of things. I've been testing a lot of different things, like some types of noodle. I've been testing the different types of ground meats, like beef, turkey, chicken, and pork. I've tested cod, I've tested shrimp. All of them have been tolerated very well. I even tested egg drop soup because I had asked my nutritionist, and she said it's totally okay to have something like that because it's not too heavy of a soup, and it doesn't have a lot of acidic stuff. She told me specifically that, like, hey, when you're in this phase, you kind of want to avoid garlicky stuff, oniony stuff. You also want to avoid a lot of highly acidic stuff. And that makes sense because the stomach's still recovering, the stomach acid hasn't fully formed back in yet, so things like garlic and onions would be a little difficult. She said that's a pretty common one that, like, just they basically tell everyone. But again, your nutritionist may say something else. I would still avoid it though, because personally, that's probably agitating to the stomach. I won't lie though, I have been tempted to like try a bite of like a spicy dip or something, but I have been told it is not worth it to push it before you get to that phase. Like, it's there for a reason. So, like, for example, even as much as I'm craving like cola or something, knowing that like I'd realistically only be able to have like maybe one or tops like 1.5 cans a day, 2 maybe, just because like you can literally only drink it so fast because of the carbonation going into your stomach. I'm still willing to wait, even though I'm craving those so badly, because I know that probably drinking those is going to cause me such like gastrointestinal distress that it's not worth it. I've heard some rough stories of people like kind of cheating and going to something a phase early, or like taking really hot food early and just really regretting it because the stomach's not ready for it yet. Plus, they do like way too much of it or something. And that's one of the other things is that going into any new phase, you should always try just like an ounce of something you're trying new for the first time after your surgery, just to make sure your stomach can tolerate it. That's one of the big things. Like the other day, we were going, there was the eclipse last Monday, and that was the 2024 eclipse, like the big one where it's traveling up across from Texas all the way through Maine and stuff. But Colorado, we only got like 60 to 70%. But it was the eclipse. We went out to Wendy's and got like Frosties, like the little orange. They just came out with the orange dreamsicle flavor stuff. So we had like the really small ones, because my mom is also about to go on this journey as well. So we both like got the really small ones, and the first thing I did was like try it for a little bit, and then I was good with it. And so after like learning I was good with it, I was able to try a little bit more, and it was surprising how heavy that felt in the stomach. So I didn't even get through like half of it. I think it took me like 3 nights of like pulling it out for dessert and having like 2 or 3 or even 4 like spoonfuls of it or something to like actually get rid of it all and actually like eat the entire Frosty. But we also had like a little bit of baconator fries, and I noticed that it only took like 4 or 5 fries to make me super full. But I was able to tolerate the first couple fries well, and then I went with the rest that I had, which again was only like 4 or 5 anyways. But again, test your food first. Don't just jump right into it and eat an entire thing of it, because you may truly regret it a little bit later. Because of your stomach's inability to digest everything as well as it previously could, you may have some rough time, like in the bathroom later, for example. That's one of the big ones that, like, you'll have a lot of intestinal distress, and then like you may have difficulty going, or maybe like other problems going, and then they could even be as bad as you would need to go to the doctor to solve it. But again, just pace yourself. Other than that, there's really nothing else to say about this phase so far. I've been testing the new foods and kind of just getting ready to go back to work. I am a little afraid of that because, like, uh, I won't be able to guarantee I can eat every 2 or 3 hours at work. It'll only be like the breakfast, lunch, and then like when I get home. But there's like 4 or 5 hours between each one, so I'll have to kind of like figure out a little bit on how to approach that. Sorry, I'm like a little itchy on my nose because it's agitated. Just because I'm so sick. So if you see me constantly scratching my nose, I apologize. Um, it's just very agitated. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say for now. Nothing else is crazy going on, and recovery is going well. So, and also at this point, all of like my incision marks, the top one and the four other ones on the bottom, all of the glue they used is completely gone, and all the sutures have dissolved. So my healing is going great. In fact, two of them almost don't even look visible anymore. Like between the little stretch marks I have from like losing a ton of weight, and like the other things going on around it, like the dry skin or whatever. Um, I don't even see the scars on a couple of them. Two of them are like very visible, and then one of them is like still kind of fading. But again, that just comes with eventually they'll like all of the little glue on the incisions will go away, and then all of the sutures are going to fully dissolve. I had one that was like sticking out for a little bit. Don't worry if you have one sticking out. What my doctor said is it happens a lot. What most likely happened is that it dissolved a bunch on the inside, but like one half of it, so like when it's coming out of the skin and it makes that arc, what happened is one half of it probably did dissolve, which caused the other half to go and start to like stick upwards, and then this other side didn't fully dissolve yet. So that just happens. It's not going to hurt you or anything. I admittedly I also kind of messed with it a bunch. I probably should admit that, but I would like kind of like gently tug on. I'm like, is it gonna come out? It didn't come out. I was like, okay, it'll probably just fall out sometime. And no, lo and behold, like 2 hours later, I went to go check it again, and it was gone. So it must have dissolved and fell out somewhere. But yeah, don't worry if you end up having like one or two little sutures sticking out, the little plastic stitches, because again, they're designed to dissolve. That's the whole thing. I don't even know what they're made out of. I'm actually kind of curious what they're made out of. They're not plastic. They're made out of something that, again, will naturally dissolve. So that's really cool. And then the glue dissolved. So now, like, I'm not even worried about showering and stuff because all of the wounds are closed. There's no sign of infection. Always make sure to check on those during every stage of the phase, by the way, because if they start to get deep red and that deep red starts to spread out, you really want to contact the doctor. The last thing you want is to get sepsis because you weren't paying attention to your sutures. Thankfully, I have PT, and I also have regular doctor visits that allowed me to kind of keep check on them, but they were healing well anyways, so it was kind of no worry. Plus, the doctors were very impressed at how quickly my sutures were healing. I feel kind of bad because I've had no complications during this entire process, so I have nothing really to explain about like how I went around these complications. But then I hear on the bariatric group I'm in on Facebook, for example, all of these complications people are facing. Like, I'm not going to go on about that. I'm not going to put fear into you about all the complications that can happen. You read about that in the book when you're about to go into surgery, so there's no real reason to go into them. But there are a lot of theoretical complications that can happen. For example, some people can, like, maybe they just won't want to move on to the next phase of food because like the next phase of food doesn't sit well in their stomach. Some people have mentioned that they'll stay in the water food phase, the water diet phase for like 3 weeks, and then they can finally start moving on to the puree food. It just depends on how your stomach recovers and how it tolerates it. Younger people are going to recover way faster. That's my benefit. I'm young and my body can bounce back quickly. A lot of older people, a lot of like middle-aged people, they have complications, and that's just because the bodies don't heal as quick in that age. So always go with your gut. If you feel something is wrong, go to the doctor. Other than that, that's kind of all I have for today. That's like literally all I have for today. Anything else at this point would just be kind of rambling about nothing new. So remember, listen to your doctor. Always go with your gut. Only eat the foods outlined in your packet. I don't know if all centers do this. Mine sent out a packet saying, in this phase, these are a bunch of things you can eat. In this phase, these are a bunch of things you can eat. And in this phase, there's a bunch of things you can eat. Don't go against them without consulting a nutritionist first. The nutritionist can tell you 100% for sure, but the packet is like a good baseline of here's basically everyone's requirement. So thank you for watching. I actually think that I actually did get a decent length of this video, so it's kind of funny, even though I'm not feeling very well. But thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your week, and just make sure to always be kind to those around you. So have a good one. Bye-bye.